Well, hello everybody, welcome to the video. In this video, we're going to be covering how to decorate in the mid-century modern style. This video comes a couple months after I filmed my parents' house, which is very mid-century, is specifically focused on the living room and dining room, and I'm going to use some of those images from that video in this one to help demonstrate some of the ideas I talk about. Now in this video we'll cover what is the mid-century modern style, we'll cover the core elements of the style to help you achieve it, and I'll give a few other tips and tricks as well. Mid-century is a really fun style, so get excited and let's dive in. The first thing that I learned growing up with a dad who really loved this style is that you really got to embrace the groovy feelings of the time. You've got to remember that during this time in the 1900s, we were just coming out of, two major world wars. There was still some other international conflicts going on. And so it was this really bleak time. And the mid-century style really brought a lot of fun, especially to your home, after that cold and depressing period in our history. So think groovy, think fun, think kind of Scooby-Doo colors and styles, and that'll kind of get you in the mindset of what mid-century is. Now let's dive into some of the key elements here. The first thing that I want to talk about is color. So brown is really important in mid-century. You see a lot of this orange, red, brown on things like tables. You see those, side tables and credenzas and TV stands that all had this kind of orangey brown color, and this color really stands out from other styles such as kind of a traditional vintage look, which might include like a dark brown or a very light farmhouse style brown. So when you're looking for furniture specifically, those big pieces that might be made out of wood, consider that color. Obviously, you also have other subtle accent colors. You have a lot of grays and neutral colors. There is some black incorporated here and there as well. And those colors complement that brown that I talked about really well. On the other side, we have the fun colors. Now, the first color I want to mention is actually the color of the chair that I'm sitting on right here, and that is a lime green, or some variation of that. Now, this color is especially popular with big pieces of furniture because it's this bright, bold color. And then what you can do with it is accent that bright, bold piece with smaller things that have that same lime green color, such as a little bowl or a little vase or something that has maybe spots of that color on it, and place those throughout the home as well, so you kind of get this theme of this lime green color. Lime green is a cool color because green naturally invokes images of nature, plants, trees, things like that, but this is just a little more fun than some of those more traditional darker green colors. Another color you could consider is the butter yellow color. Now, this is really bright, so you may not see it as much with big pieces of furniture, but definitely as an accent piece. So think about pillows, think about geometric shapes on a throw blanket, things like that. Could use a little bit of yellow if you can find it. Another color you should consider is eggshell blue. This is kind of a light blue color, and you see this a lot. It's probably the second one behind green in terms of decor that has that color. Now, another color you could consider is red, and red is often found on things like plant pots. It's found on things like rugs, and it often is paired with browns or oranges. And it's also found in things like artwork that you might put on the wall so that it really stands out from kind of a gray or white or tan wall. You have this bright pop of red in that artwork. Finally, I really want to talk about orange. So orange, I mentioned, is kind of the tone of the wood that you want to look for, but orange is also used a ton for things like shapes on pillows, throw blankets that are that color, rugs that have that color. Orange is really popular. Okay, now the next key element that you really need to think about is shapes. And when most people think about mid-century, shapes and colors are probably the two things that come to mind immediately. So what do I mean by shapes, right? I mean, everything has a shape. What I mean is that mid-century modern really embraces pattern with shapes, and also shapes that stand out from what is around it. So a lot of furniture in the mid-century era was made with rounded edges, right? If it was a chair, it might have rounded legs. If it was a table that was made of wood, it might have rounded, smooth-edged legs on the table. There's a lot of these wavy lines as well as organic shapes in mid-century. With that, you often have shapes that have very hard lines or hard edges or points, so things like diamonds, things like stars, maybe even triangles. All of these different shapes are found in mid-century, and often you see them in combination with one another, right? So you might see a decorative plate that has a bunch of lines on it, but also a star, but also a funky, organic shape. So it's shape and color combined that help to make this style unique. So not only are we doing shapes that are black and white, we're doing these funky, radical shapes in that lime green color, in those yellows, in those blues, in the reds, in the oranges. So when you combine the two, these radical shapes and these funky colors, you really get something that's unique. So far we talked about color, we talked about shape. Now the third thing that I want to mention is material. The mid-century modern style combines many different materials. Leather might be combined with a soft throw blanket type of material. You might have a plastic or ceramic jug for pouring water that is placed on a stone coaster. You might have large glass windows combined with a metal trim around those windows. You might have furniture that has metal or wood legs, or both throughout the house. You might also have furniture that is entirely made out of metal. You might have furniture that's entirely made out of plastic, and it has these funky lines and funky shapes, and may not feel that comfortable. But that's the style. When it comes to material, mid-century is one of the most diverse styles that you could choose. Alright, now let's get to some quick tips that you can use to immediately turn your home into a more mid-century style home. The first quick tip that I have that will most dramatically change your style to mid-century is to have a look at your furniture and see which pieces of furniture you might change to have a funky, crazy shape, right? So think about, for example, a coffee table. This is a really easy one to start with. If you have a coffee table that is square or rectangular, I want you to get rid of that coffee table and find one that has curved edges. Maybe it's an oval shape. Maybe it is glass and it's a circular shape. Maybe it is an organic shape and it has kind of wavy edges. That sort of furniture, a big piece of furniture like a table, maybe even a chair, changing that up to match the mid-century style will make the biggest difference straight off the bat versus little things like decor. Now the next thing I want to say is that you have to supplement with decor. Now I don't mean that you should go out and buy a bunch of different decor items and just kind of dump them all in your home and kind of find a place for them. The mid-century style is quite minimal and simple, so what you want to do instead is take one thing that you think is kind of boring and uninteresting and replace it with something that maybe has a geometric pattern on it. Maybe it has a lot of lines on it, right? Maybe it has crazy colors. So what you want to do instead is take something that you might have that is kind of an everyday item. Maybe it's a pot for a plant. Maybe it's glasses that you have that you drink out of. Maybe it's plates, right? I want you to take those items and replace the boring ones that you have with items that have some fun shapes or colors to them. And go back to the previous part of this video to see the colors and shapes that I'm talking about. When you combine both replacing one or two big pieces of furniture with something that has an organic shape with little pieces that have those colors and shapes on them as well, you start to lean in that direction of mid-century without going too crazy. You kind of need to try it out and slowly add these pieces rather than overhauling everything and not really learning what you like. Another quick tip that I have is to embrace that orange and red colored wood that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. The quickest and easiest way to do this would be to find a table or a TV stand or chest of drawers or something like that that has that color, but you want that piece to be quite simple. You want the wood to be able to really speak for itself. Alright, now the last tip that I have is kind of goofy, and that is to really embrace the style by turning on some music, getting your dance on, have a drink, and embrace that groovy, funky time period that was the middle of the 1900s. That, I think, more than anything, will help you get in the mindset of this style and help you really enjoy it, because I think that's what this style is all about. It's about having fun, feeling creative, having a good time, and so embrace that. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like the mid-century style, I encourage you to check out this video right here where I showcase my parents' very mid-century living room and dining room. that can give you a lot of inspiration and make you really excited about the style. So go check that out over there. Thanks for watching, Groovy people, and I'll see you next time.